Hey guys, we are back. Well, at least one of us is back. It seems like communications, something's going on over on Samuel's end. I'm not sure what's going on exactly, but anyway, hopefully you guys are well. We're going to be doing another TNG episode review today, Season 5, Episode 5. And the 5 and 5 must cancel each other out and cause a catastrophe, because this is called disaster. I really wish I could get a hold of Samuel. All I got was this feed from his room. I don't know what's happening, but looking down there, I can't see him down there, so I'm not really sure. But welcome, guys. Hit that like button. That's a good way to help repair the broadcast. If there's any problems, hitting that like button is really important. We have 15 people here with 24 likes, which is really good, actually. So if you're one of those 15 that hasn't hit like yet, by all means, hit that like button. Let's get that going. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I've been trying to contact Samuel, and and I don't know what's going on. So anyway, guys, like I said, hit that like button. Super chat, it's a great way to help out the channel. Squadra course, always throwing in, so thank you very much, Squadra course, much appreciated. I'll read that once if we get in contact with Samuel. The super chats might back up, because I don't know how long he's going to be. I don't know where he is. So everything's fine over here on this part of Trekyards command, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully he'll show up soon enough. But but yeah, if you want to support the channel, there's many ways to do so, and I'll tell you about those, I guess. Now I'll start with the super chat announcement. Super chats are a great way to get your comment read, your voice heard, your question answered, all that jazz. We do read them all on air, which is important. A lot of channels don't, so we want to let you guys know that. If you want to support us on a monthly basis, you can click that join button or the subscribe. Something's happening. Oh, it's. You okay, Commander? Can you hear me? Commander.
On?
Can you hear me, Commander? Commander.
Stuart.
Yes.
It's been a disaster.
Oh no! What has happened? I see you got some problems over there.
Oh, I have the light on. Oops. No, I was in a rave. Shit.
Oh.
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 God,
Oh.
see, you put the wrong light, or you leave the wrong light, it just changes the entire vibe, doesn't it? Oh dear.
I thought there were problems. I thought you're dead. Just communications were faulty. It was just pretty bad. I was worried.
Oh goodness.
Don't do that anymore. I thought there was a disaster, just like in our review tonight. Whew.
No, I was saying there's been a disaster. An episode. We just watched it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not pregnant, but I might have to go to the washroom eventually.
Somebody might be who's here today.
That might be a disaster. So.
Oh goodness. What, is your containment field gonna fail and just explode?
It might.
Over the...
If it gets below 15%, I might have to go to the washroom.
Oh dear.
Just saying.
God, it's so applicable. Warp core detonation is so applicable to our lives. Crazy. So yeah, guys, a very simple bit, but you know what? I had the LEDs. I was like, I'm just gonna throw that in.
It was good. I could have had something set up too if you would have told me prior, but anywho. Squadra course though, $2. Thank you. Samuel's at Red Alert. Oh, and first.
Yes. Yes and yes. I wish it would flash, because I can do a strobe flash, but how is it ever useful? I wish you could do like a controlled flash, but
yeah,
you can't. And these are not cheap ones either. But okay, fine.
No, it's gotta be a way. Mark Lawrence, $5. Need to send Sam some power. Yeah. Well, everything's fine now by the looks of it. So.
Oh yeah.
Thank goodness.
All is well.
Anyway, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, Samuel. I was so worried there for a minute. I thought you might have been, I scanned the rest of your house. I couldn't detect any other life signs. I was afraid we might have to separate your room from the house.
I have told you to get your sensors fixed. I've said this to you every other day. It's like your internet. It fails. I know, but often. I said to get them fixed.
They're linked to the internet, and sometimes it's sketchy. Just saying.
This is too surreal, Stuart. Everything makes sense.
Well, we got to stop it then, because making sense isn't what we do here.
We make analysis.
Analysi.
Yeah, I'm going to start sharing so we can start chatting about this.
Yes,
I'll see you in a minute.
Please do. Okay. So yeah, guys, as I was saying, super chats are a great way to help out. Also, joining the channel if you want to help us on a monthly basis. There's a join button down there by the subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed also. That's very important. And hit that bell icon to all. Select all, because then you actually might have a chance of getting notified from YouTube. If you just have it clicked to the regular bell, chances are you're not going to get notified when we upload or anything like that. So if you can, please do. It's a great way to help us out. Or head on over to Patreon/Trekyards. It's another monthly service. You can join us there on Patreon. Again, that makes all the difference in the world. So does joining the channel. New members are always welcome. They get cool stuff. It's not very much a month. And if you can't super chat on the regular basis, just doing like one payment a month is a great way to help out if you're able to. So please consider it. You get an instant rank when you join up, and you also get your name highlighted, a badge beside your name, and you get to use the emojis and stickers and cool stuff for the live chat. So if you join us on a regular basis, that's a great way to participate. So if you can, please do. Also check the description down below. If you want to send us a PayPal, you can send it to trekyards@hotmail.com. Just let us know in the regular chat that you sent the PayPal, and we will read your comment or question via the email from that. So just let us know, and the moderators will let us know, or if we don't see it or whatever, we'll have eyes on it so that people know what's going on. Other than that, check down below. There's the Teespring store and the TeePublic store. Some really cool stuff down there, and you can get yourself some cool shirts, Trekyards merch, stuff like that. So if you're able to, check those out. There's 2 stores. And I think everything right now at the TeePublic store is 35% off, so it's a good time to go and check that out if you can. Get some cool Trekyards swag and merch and help us support us that way, and also get yourself some cool stuff. So we'd really appreciate that as well. No, Bryce, the woman who died did not get hit with rocks. I'll read your super chat in a minute, Matthew. That's funny, though. But yeah, he's just sharing it around to get some more viewers in here. 52 people here, 42 likes. Hit that like button, guys. That's a super great way to help us. Let us know you support us, show your love, and also help out the channel. So if you can, please do. Yeah, so I'm just waiting on Samuel now. Even though there is no disaster, there he's back. Yay. Matthew DeFridas, $2. Hope you have an executive on radishes nearby. Yeah, he's outside in the garden. Just saying.
I was hoping that would pay off in some other way. It didn't, but that's okay. No. I don't know. Some radish emergency was needed this week. Now, in what form that radish emergency would take, I don't know. But that was up to them to discover and design.
I want to know who cast these kids, because only the girl was good. The other 2 were like, it's one of the executive producers' kids, because they just cannot act at all.
Well, I mean, they acted scared. That is acting.
But they kept looking at the camera. They're just clearly not actors, I guess. It's very...
Oh, dear.
Very not good.
But as we know, children actors are on the lower rung of the spectrum of actors, because of course they are. That's why we have the ones that really stand out, like holy, and that's fine. That's all good,
Yeah.
Even like hearing them say complicated technobabble, it's like that's hard. Like that kid couldn't even speak properly. The mouth couldn't even form words properly because of how young they were, and he's been given this difficult dialogue. So good for them. But obviously in this world, even if they can't speak properly, they would still have to say complicated things. So it's like, okay, cool. Yeah.
Squadron course, $2. Can't have a cannon bridge explosion without rocks. Well, there was no rocks in that explosion. It was just a flash, and then she was just burned. So there was no... And they're not rocks. They're insulation foam. God damn it.
Yeah, and it's funny because that console was the one that then the guy then sat at. So even the console exploded with sparks. I guess they fixed it quick enough to be at it.
He was sitting at the other one.
Started, but then he ended on the other one.
Did he?
Mm-hmm. Which I made a note. I was like, oh, okay. Interesting.
Well, you actually see the console all cracked and like screwed.
Guess they fixed it. I mean, to be fair, they didn't have much they could do. So.
Yeah.
What is it? 4 of them.
Not a band account, $5. Isn't it always a disaster when Counselor Troy is in charge? Remember, she crashed the Enterprise D in the movie. Well, she wasn't in charge, to be fair. The other lady was the lieutenant. and then she got killed. So she was actually in command of the bridge at the time, and then Troy just happened to be the next one that was highest rank. So
I mean, maybe you could say she was a bad luck charm, but enough disasters happened that aren't to do with her to be fine. But it's always about crashing the Enterprise. Oh, thanks, Bryce. Please do.
Well, they crashed into a quantum filament. That's like a cosmic string. No, it's not. Dumbass. Brian. No,
he was very polite, Stuart. He's very, very polite.
He was. Brian Straight, $20.
Oh my God.
Deanna. What's a warp core breach? Troy. Still an episode that's one of my guilty pleasures. Oh, she knew what a warp core breach was. The comments that say she doesn't understand that, she does. They explained it to her. She was just doing what a commanding officer should do and try to save everybody. So she didn't. It's not that she didn't understand it. I mean, she knew that it was a problem, and they explained why. So
I got the sense, and we're kind of skipping a little bit, but it was more that she knows a bit of everything. That's what Starfleet training is. But she wanted to be explicitly informed of exactly where they were, so she could make the full decision. Because her knowledge isn't in any way that specialty. Why would it be? So she was more like clarifying everything, even though she probably knows what it is. Because like a good leader, she's asking for the, it's like Picard. He's not going to guess the tactical situation of a ship. He has to ask Worf. That's his job, because Worf's got the sensors, etc. So it's like, carefully handled.
So Samuel.
Hello, Stuart.
Did you remember this one, and what did you think going into it?
Yes, although we've talked about it in subsequent years, which has helped cement it a bit more in my brain. I remember how memorable it is, although it's very easy to disassociate each piece, because even though they by definition are connected, they're also radically disconnected.
Literally from each other.
Yeah. So it's very unique. It's a very, very strange, unique one. But I always remember thinking well of it. I think my overall summary for review this time is, I think I went in thinking it was better than it was. I came out thinking it wasn't as good as I remember, but that's because I went in with higher expectations. It's definitely a good one, and it does a lot of things well, but obviously when you are giving everybody something to do, you're giving everyone less to do. So none of the storylines are as deep as I remember, and I remember even some scenes that don't exist, which is somewhat frustrating, as you've often done.
Probably another episode, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. Although I appreciate that at least the bridge got the primary amount of footage, and that gave Deanna, who never gets stuff. So I thought that was well done, and Riker got very little, and Picard. But I wish this had been, it could have been a two-parter. We say that, but give us that more, not Die Hard necessarily feel, but like they're all alone and they'll match up a bit more, or help fix it, etc. So it's not as good as I remember it being, but you remember the overall vibe without necessarily remembering all individual scenes and how they don't necessarily aren't all as good as you think they are. Yeah.
I'm the exact opposite. I went into this knowing this was a good episode and fun to watch, not expecting to really enjoy it, but I really enjoyed it a lot. And it's one of those episodes that, despite the storyline, everybody, all the main characters, had something to do. They weren't just background characters or like Beverly having one line. I was actually really impressed that they got everybody with something to do. Everybody had an important thing. And they even had enough room to fill it, to give O'Brien and Rose something to do as well. Like, they covered all their bases. It was a very ensemble piece. And I really like that about this episode, because a lot of times you don't get everybody, or somebody has nothing to do. So I really appreciated that. And I do love the storyline. I do love the idea of it, but it makes me think that, again, the Galaxy class is a little bit of a, I guess, bloated whale of a ship, because it's a little bit too fancy. You think a lot of these things in TOS time would have been a little different, because the ship's smaller, it's more connected, there's probably more Jeffries tubes. You can't tell me there's only one way to get from deck 10 near 10 forward to engineering. There's some sketchy stuff, and it's just like the ship is like, they've over-engineered it a little bit to the point where they don't think they need a lot of redundancies and stuff, because just everything failing all like that at the same time was a little bit broken. And the turbo lift shaft thing. God damn,
It's
if they
too
were on
small.
Discovery,
My God, too small,
if
man.
they were on Discovery, how would they have climbed to safety? They would have had to crawl on the rails, the big tube, like seriously. So
Yeah, unrealistic turbolift shafts. They're too small. I mean, how can you not have a cavern? Doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
Have you seen a ship that's decades older? I think it's one thing, by trying to do so much, you don't quite like. Obviously, we sort of feel like we understand the ship reasonably well, and they just kind of sort of go through the motions of how and why things are broken. Because I don't necessarily buy a lot of the things they're broken, why and how. If the main computer's down, which controls everything, how do you have access to systems? If the computer is the thing that interlinks everything. Yeah. If you haven't got monitors on the bridge working, then you can't access monitors on the bridge to change things. That's done. If you've got emergency life support, but still gravity, then there's little things. And I don't for 1 second buy that you can channel all of the mega gigawatts of your phasers into one console.
Well, the phasers weren't charged or armed. They were it's from that system. They just diverted the power.
But the way they say it sounds like an impressive thing. But I do not buy for a second that power couldn't charge the entire bridge. You know what I mean? Like, it's a stupid set of lines, and why would they have direct access to the phaser power subset inside of one console on the bridge that, like, you wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be in tactical, and tactical isn't a subsystem. Tactical is a wooden plaque. Like, there's a slight disconnect with how things do or don't work to create more tension. And then why is everyone not in engineering? Why did everyone leave? Surely some people would have stayed, because that's the thing you do. Like, in any other episode, there'd be several people in engineering still trying to fix stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that no one's in there felt really bad at the end. It's just like, oh, I guess everyone wants the ship to blow up then, because that's the most important place to be apart from the... Oh no, it's the most important place to be. Because without engineering, the thing would have been blown up. So there's a few disconnects that don't connect, but they're trying to be too clever, and doing so to dumb down a few things.
I didn't have a problem with it, most of that. Even her dumping the phasers stuff into the engineering console, I kind of like that. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
But it should have been some.
I just don't necessarily agree.
It should have been, but why the phasers, which are theoretically one of the most powerful systems of the entire ship? It should have been something small, like the artificial, like the self-illumination, the blinkies, the transporter. There's something smaller that's more whatever. I mean, yes, you can say the phasers aren't charged, but then there shouldn't be very much charge if systems aren't working on the ship. Why they have, like, there's just a disconnect.
I just would have said I disconnected the life support in the ready room and the briefing room.
Or on deck 7.
Well, you don't know who's on deck 7, so no, you're not going to do that.
Well, no, you say this is, and she's like, well, no one's on deck 7. You say, well, no, that's currently there's no one on that deck. It's under construction. It's like an airport. It's always under construction.
And then the other, well, yeah, we'll get to the scene in it. But just them going to the briefing room to have a discussion. Why?
And why do those doors work? Unless you force them open.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. In the cargo bay, I'm like, what are the chances that fucking door is going to open and the force field's going to still be active?
That's true.
Oh, of course, that works.
Well, it's because the lights are still on. Everything's working except the outer door, which you would think they would try and open the outer door as well to get to the hallway at some point to see what they... Yeah, and Geordie's very unconcerned about the ship's... Does he ever mention once damage to the ship? He's so focused on the mini, the macro, that he doesn't think about the big ship. Which he's quite important to save the ship.
Well, he has no access to anything else. That's the point. They need to get out of there first.
But they don't try and get out of there. They just deal with the mini solution. But you'd think maybe if he gets
out... Well, they tried to open the doors.
Well, it's a very quick moment that easily moved on from. You would think, why don't you pull out the phasers from the phaser box in the shuttle bay? Or it's a cargo bay. Well, there might be a phaser in the cargo bay.
The reason they couldn't open the doors, they were going to do the manual actuation. He took the panel off. She realized the thing was hot, and then it flamed up. So it was this huge bout of plasma heat by the actuator that he needed. Yeah,
it gets overshadowed by the danger moment. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if Roe can still pry doors open, and they obviously pry doors open to 10-4 the reef room, why can't they pry open the door to the cargo bay?
Because those are the big locking doors like you see on the holodeck. Those are like the heavy duty doors. Because that's a room that can technically be depressurized. Yeah. So you want the bigger door. They're not just the regular whoosh whoosh doors. Yeah. So. Yeah. Anywho, we got some super chats. Eric Martin, $10.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I understand gravity plating in the turbolift, but why have gravity in the turbo shaft as it makes the turbolift work harder and it can cause fail issues? I think it'd be difficult to have zero G in the turbolift shafts. I mean, I just think with the way the ship's integrated, it's just all artificial gravity is kind of everywhere. I don't know. That's a good question, though. It would make it a lot better.
I mean, I get the logic of, okay, it's actually probably safer to not have gravity because if anything happens, they can be whatever. But I feel like you'd want that sense of normality through the entire ship. I wouldn't assume any deck, any room doesn't have gravity on at all times, just as a way of keeping a normality.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's but I said that, and like I said, but it'd be safer because then if the thing does, like, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't even have a sound effect of the turbolift falling and hitting and destroying the turbolift below or the ground. Like, there's massive structural damage now from a turbolift falling, potentially 10 decks and smashing. We didn't even get a sound effect, but I guess it's too graphic. But like that
You
thing,
did. You heard it hit.
did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was
Heard
listening.
it go.
Oh, I didn't hear
wasn't very loud, but
that. No, I completely missed that. Okay.
Yeah, it is there.
But I think just gravity would be everywhere just by default.
Yeah. BJ Turon, $5.
There you go.
In the Navy, Rowe is a line officer. It would be next in line, not Troy, as a specialist staff officer whose rank doesn't have authority beyond her department. But this isn't the Navy.
It's not even the military.
Yeah.
Well, if they can put an ensign in charge of the bridge and still be in charge, which makes no sense, how is that right in the military if an ensign out, in season 1 and Geordie's in command over a commander? It's like, yeah, that's not, no, he should be outrank him instantly. Doesn't matter if he's been given command of the bridge. Someone that's 30 years older with 30 years more experience is obviously going to be outrank and outdone him. Otherwise, military's dumb. Otherwise, a 21-year-old is going to give orders to a 70-year-old because stupidity, I guess? I don't know. So it's a different way of doing it. But we'll get to that.
Redneck level 22, $5.
Thank you.
Could someone explain to me why there were 0 people in engineering to where they needed Data and Riker down there? Did everyone evacuate?
That was weird.
Maybe, because the one blast door was down and Data had to lift it.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what happened there? But yeah, I thought the same thing. There should be people down there. This is an emergency. Engineering is kind of important. So, yeah.
And that's where you fix things. That's where you reroute things. That's where your power is, which is still, well, I guess not functional. Although, there's 2 times, both in Star Trek 6 or 4 or 2, one of those, and then in Generations, that everyone does rush out of the blast doors, but that's when something inside the blast door is going to explode. I can buy it if potentially the crew knew it was going to explode, so they evacuated like 5 minutes earlier. But then, well, thanks for that. I guess they're committing suicide. Like, if you can't tell the bridge you're going to blow up, stay until it blows up. Just try and fix it. If you leave, the blast door's not going to help you, mate.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they don't want to pay extras because everybody was on pay, and obviously O'Brien and Keiko and Rowe and like everyone is being paid here to do dialogue, even Black Ensign Man on the bridge. So this is an expensive like cast budget episode compared to other ones. So I guess they said no extras.
Amazing Karyosotis. Starfleet is not military, LOL. Of course it is. Picard himself even says Starfleet's not the military. That's a big contentious point in Star Trek. That it's the military. It's structured like the military. Technically, it serves the same purpose at times, but it's not the military. They don't want the Starfleet. They don't want Starfleet to be military. So, you say that, but there's arguments for the other way as well. So,
of course, it is their space military, but they don't think of themselves. Do you really think Picard thinks of himself as a military officer? Do you think Cisco does? Do you think O'Brien does? Do you think No, of course they don't. It's beyond that. They're peacekeepers if you want to give them something, whatever. Technically, intention's important, and
Yeah. Eric Martin, $5.
Eric.
They should have taught Troy the first rule of senior management: act like you know everything, even if you have no clue. That's true. You got to seem confident in the command role. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into this. Already
Yes.
half an hour in.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So we got the kids. Well, I love the downtime stuff. They make a point of saying that they have the downtime, and I love seeing the day-to-day stuff, like other people doing other things. So I like that aspect of this episode a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things I enjoy, even with the Lower Decks episodes, kind of seeing what goes on not when there's an emergency or something major going on. So good way to start. Anyway, we get the naming of the. If it's a boy, it'll be Michael after my father. No, we decided Hero after my father.
Neither. It's Keiko after the script supervisor who demanded it's called Keiko. Molly. I mean, I was talking about Molly.
Yeah.
Can't remember what's the second child's name? In DS9.
I don't know. No idea.
It's right at the end.
Yeah. But then Data feels the stomach and feels the baby kick, and then Brian's like, "Hey, I gotta go up to the bridge for transporter simulation, so see ya." I love Worf standing behind them, like kind of just listening but not listening.
These are my friends.
I will stand here.
I will stand here. Yes. And it's kind of interesting that this is probably only a little bit after. You know, basically, he knocked her up instantly after Data's day after the marriage, is what this is saying. You know, they are.
Well, no, she was probably pregnant before the marriage.
Well, hey now. Okay. Okay, you said that. Whichever, but it's nice. It's like
nothing wrong with that.
No, it isn't. But like you get that family atmosphere. Like this is their straight path, which I like. And boy, O'Brien is so nice in this episode. You know,
yeah,
he is such.
Even Keiko's nice in this episode. I don't mind Keiko, and I cannot really stand her character. So.
Yeah, I mean, she plays a pregnant lady fantastic. You can't fault performance in any levels up for it. But it's, I don't quite buy the doing transporter simulations on the bridge. I'm not sure what that means, but whatever. It's just a reason to get him up there. It's fine.
Well, transporter chief. You can operate the transporter from on the bridge. They're doing some tactical simulations, maybe. Who knows? It's downtime. They're running drills and
it's
stuff.
It's just a thing, Stuart. It's just a thing they wrote. You know, it doesn't have to be the most concrete thing.
Yeah, well. Then we get Crusher trying to get Geordi to sing, which is kind of a funny moment as well. And it's okay, I guess. I mean, I'd be the same way as Geordi. Like, I can't sing in front of people. No.
And what's great about this is she's just here for that.
Yeah.
This isn't medical stuff. They never say that. She's just here to talk to him about singing and to hang out with him, which is lovely. Like, it's yeah. And LeVar, I really like LeVar's acting in this. Just like it's very natural. He always is, but I thought it was quite natural. And then yes, you got the kids, and for you know, this is one of the few scenes that shows Picard's growth, because in season 1 this would not have even been a thing he would have allowed, let alone
them on the bridge. Yeah.
Oh, even like interacting with them any way beyond, you know, like the fact that he's on a tour with them is such a statement of growth and of whatever.
He's not happy about it though.
Well,
he's very like, ugh, I gotta do this. I love how the kids are like, can we see the battle bridge in the torpedo bay? No.
I mean, obviously, although to be fair, it's hydroponics really the thing that sounds exciting. And I'm pretty sure they can already get into that with their parents, because it's not like. They've all probably been there. It's like saying the Arboretum. It's like, yeah, it's you know what I mean? It's like a low-level place. At least got some cool stuff like engineering, you know, because they shouldn't be able to go there normally.
The astrophysics laboratories sounds fun.
Yeah, no, I agree, but the first one was not.
Yeah.
But I liked the fact that Picard, I didn't think he was grumpy so much at what he was doing, so much as this is a duty I have to do, but I will make the best of it, even though it's not my favourite, but I'm going to be a teacher here. Even if it's awkward, rather than previously it would have been like, these damn children, I don't want to be. So it's yeah.
His uncomfortability is like, you can sense it. It's just his awkwardness. He doesn't quite know how to talk to them.
But it's awkwardness, not disliking what he's doing. It's just that he doesn't know how to be in the moment so much. Exactly.
But I love it. It's played so well. It's played so perfectly.
And he's still so respectful, etc., etc.
Yeah. So we find out about their projects. The one kid grew radishes and special dirt, and they got all weird. And then the other kids analyzed the moss of Gonal 4. They only lived for 20 hours. We never find out what the girl did, ever, through the whole episode. And she's like the best actress out of all these kids, the best actor.
And I don't know what her motivation was to not look at him or interact until the point of crisis. I'm not sure what that was motivated by.
She's very shy. That's what I get.
I think what it was, though, was because they wanted to give the other two more lines until she gets more lines. So if it was unbalanced, kind of give them, you know, they get the start, she gets the end, etc. But I liked how, Picard deals with people and adults and aliens. So all he can think about is the simple stuff, like, so what was the thing that you're here for? So what are your names? So what are your parents' names? What do your parents do? There's no chit chat outside of the work. Because all you can talk about them with is what they're here for, which is fine in the first few minutes, but then you can tell he did nothing else after that. He's not gonna have those social cues of, I don't even know what you would say, in this context. But still, great of him to do it, though.
But then disaster happens. All through the ship. Everything's going wrong. Boom. Lots of stuff going on.
And considering none of these sets move, I think a lot of the shots are convincing that things are going wrong and moving. Because they're all static. I think they do a good job. It's mostly the lighting gags that really help, but I think they do a damn good job, considering that nothing's moving except them. Yeah.
Maybe this blonde girl grew up to be Girardi. Moving on.
I don't even understand.
Never mind. It's fine. Anyway, so we find out that the lieutenant on the bridge is actually in charge, and we found out we ran into a quantum filament.
Which she works out instantly with very little information, and it's kind of remarkable how quickly she guesses the thing.
Yeah, they actually lose life support, though. Brian says we lost primary life support, switching to secondary systems. So
doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme, but at least they say it.
Then we get another quantum filament moving towards them, and unfortunately, the cute little lieutenant lady, she gets killed.
Yeah, leaving the bridge crew at 3. It ain't so good. I like he tries the doors. First thing you do, let's not work out status in the console, which is working still. His console still works, but try the door. It doesn't work.
Yeah, we found out the computer's down, and that the other lady is dead. So boo.
And at this point, it definitely feels as if they're committing to the bit more than they've done before. Like, you're in for a real disaster, because this is like, first they mentioned is life support. Although I was confused, they kept mentioning we still have half impulse. It's like,
first you said impulse and warp are offline, and later I guess it comes back at least half impulse, and I think that's probably for the saucer section, would be my guess, the saucer impulse engines, because she does mention separating after that, so they can at least get away from the secondary hull if they need to.
That's true. So you need thrusters to start the ejection, and then the impulse always you can't get. That's true. Yeah, I didn't clock on that. It just feels a bit odd to keep mentioning that, because they haven't even got main life support, and they're focusing on impulse. It seems like an odd.
They're looking for anything to work at all.
They should have moved power from impulse, Stuart, rather than phasers.
Yeah. Quantum filament equals iceberg. Sango 76. Yes, this is the Titanic.
Yeah. Then you get more of the turbolift than I've ever seen before, which I like. Set still holds up. And Picard has got a broken foot. Everyone says they're going to die. The girl is still unable to communicate. And he orders them not to cry. And so they all cry.
And the blonde kid, I don't know if there's any Transformers fans out there, but the blonde kid reminded me of Rat Trap from Beast Wars. We're all gonna die. He says that all the time. At least 4 times during the course of this episode. So,
isn't it weird they never asked for their parents?
Yeah.
Where's my mum? Is my mum alive? What about Deck 3? What about what?
Yeah.
That seems odd, actually. Now I just mentioned that. I guess they're all orphans. Can my father now, Picard? What? Fuck no.
Quadricore's $2. Why do the consoles often has plasma charges?
Well, the whole ship was charged. They say it later, so I can buy any sort of kablooey because the whole ship was charged.
It's a plot device to have consoles exploding. Technically, consoles in real life would not blow up like that or start on fire. They've talked about that a few times too. But it's just cool. It's a good visual.
Well, you say that, but have you ever heard of a ship being hit by a quantum filament, whatever it was? So you don't know the situation case to say it's impossible. They've been hit by a filament. Just saying.
But it's the same analogy though as saying I get in an accident with my Camaro. or somebody rear ends me. The whole car is wrecked, but my dashboard is not going to, or my gauges aren't going to magically explode and light on fire. The way the systems are hooked up, that's not a thing that would ever happen.
Unless it's charged by quantum antiparticles.
And high energy plasma.
Mm-hmm. So I have no problem with it. It's fine.
I don't have a problem with it either. But everybody brings it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's cool visual to see things exploding on the bridge.
The rocks are worse. The fuse boxes are fine. Well, I find it odd that either the consoles aren't on or they're on. You know, I often you have them flicker themselves, but if they're not on, you can't access them at all. So how do you even do anything?
The panels underneath, which
well,
that's one of the problems
sure.
we had with non-tactical or non-tactile displays. Like just touch screen. Once it goes out, it's out. You need to take the thing off or get underneath and rejigger it. There's no way to mess around with things. So
but there still will be massively limited functionality based on the circuitry underneath. You couldn't do the finesse microcontrols of percentage. You could just do on off, reroute, switch. You know, you can control how fast the impulse goes by playing with the isolated chips underneath the input. You know, the helm control. It's not. It links to the computer to access the thing. It's all interconnected. It's not just the console. So I just find some of these visuals a little bit odd, and definitely. But like I said, Doomsday, they are as close to We Are Kablooey as possible. It's just they don't feel like there's much they can do. So when they do some stuff, it's not necessarily as earned. It would have been nice if they throughout the scenes, each console slowly come back online on the bridge, or like piece of them, as if O'Brien's like slowly getting stuff back. Especially if it's only the case of we need power, that should be reroutable very easily, etc. Small things, but you know it's a good episode. So I'm just but when the entire thing is about the conceit of the thing going kablooey, you notice the things more.
Redneck Leveler 22, $2. Dead End. One of the Stunticons was the Fatalist. Yeah, but so was Rat Trap. Sean Corpier, $5. I have arrived.
Dumb.
And now's when the true disaster strikes.
Ooh.
Welcome, Sean.
That's good.
No, and one of the things I wish they would have tried, instead of the ensign going to like turbo lift beside. Well, I didn't have a problem with them going to that turbo lift. Should have gone to the emergency bridge turbo lift, because that goes directly to the emergency bridge. Chances are that might still be online. If you can get down to the emergency bridge, you might have more access to more systems. Fire up the emergency bridge, but they didn't even try that or mention it. I wish they would have. Well, the battle bridge. Sorry, battle bridge. I guess in this case it would be an emergency bridge. But
yes. Well, yes and no. They do explicitly say the bulkheads are, cutting off things, and so I think, which it seems fine, but if you need to get around place an emergency and everything's blocked off in every bulkhead, that's even more sealed than, but this is an extreme circumstance. Things aren't working enough to even turn off an emergency. So I'm assuming several bulkheads are in that turbo shaft they just couldn't pass. So where's the Jeffries tube? There's a Jeffries tube on the E to get down. Where's the damn Jeffries tube on the D bridge? Because you have to have something that bypasses the turbo shafts. Otherwise, if they're sealed, you're stuck. Because this episode, they are literally stuck on the bridge, or on deck 1, I should say. There's implied no way out whatsoever, which seems like a big design flaw.
But if you know the design of the ship, you just go through the briefing room, out the other doors, down the stairs to the next level. Then you got the next level access.
Well, yes. Although you could argue maybe those are also bulkhead special doors because it's bridge access, so they're sealed like the cargo bay ones are.
Sergeant Montgomery, $5. Picard ordered med kits to be placed on all turbo lifts after this debacle. Let's be real. Tucker would be piggybacking something off some relay.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's good. No, that's good. And I really like that they moved the turbolift set to put this turbolift wall set.
Yeah.
And build new bodies. It's very effective, and it really broadens the scope of the ship. Just the little thing, just seeing the damn turbolift shaft.
And really I saw a complaint that why was the turbolift up so high? It's not. It's the top of the turbolift that she's on. It stopped before it got to the bridge slot. So she had to crawl at the top, and then... So, yeah.
Yeah, presumably there's only been maybe, let's say, half an hour. She's probably in the turbolift trying to access things first, see if she can get it moving. She couldn't. She opens the hatch. She doesn't know where she is because the systems aren't working. She says, okay, I'm actually right there. Opens the door, bypasses it, forces the door open, she's on the bridge. Very lucky she was on the way to the bridge. Don't know why she was. No, that's just the top of it. It would have been cool to see like climb out of it, but that's the floor. Yeah. So she couldn't have.
Sean Corpier, $5.
Thanks again.
Stuck in the turbolift cavern. Maybe first contact with a new species. 97 people here, 77 likes, guys. Hit that like button. I want to get to 100 likes. I think that's very doable, so please do that. But
it would be fun though to re-edit this one and actually add a CGI turbolift discovery style.
No, it wouldn't.
And just like re-edit it with the absurdity of that. You know.
Yeah, the kid crawls out on top. What do you see? Vast nothingness. Oh, okay. Get back in here.
Thank goodness all the 85 clamps around 85 different turbolifts are all working still. Because boy, we don't drop. Oh dear.
Yeah. They talk about the bulkheads closing things off. They get partial sensors back and can't detect any life signs, really. They got sporadic life sign readings. Chief asked about, what about 10 forward? And she's like, 10 forward? My wife's there. But they can't be specific enough to see what's going on. And apparently they can't tell if there's anybody alive in the secondary hull. So, natural assumption by the best officer in Starfleet is they're all dead.
Well,
Hey, Jiro.
He argues against it later, so I think he's just relaying more than judging. But yeah, he is the best officer in Starfleet, says the future.
Yeah, well, I was talking about Ro. That's her assumption. Oh, they must all be dead. Let's cut them loose.
We'll get to that obviously later. But I found it interesting. They never quite explain why sensors aren't detecting anybody in the secondary hull. I guess it's just sensors are down, but it would be nice if... I know you need to leave it ambiguous, but it'd be nice if they'd said sensors are down, because you could tell if sensors are down. If you can read any sensors, you can read sensors being down, because they would not be working. If there's interference, you could see interference as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I appreciate them asking Deanna about her abilities. I'm sort of okay her not knowing much, but she should absolutely know if people in the secondary hull, given they are much lower than her and off like half a mile that way. Like, she can sense people further away. If she can sense people in spaceships.
Yes.
Dozens of miles away. I sense he's feeling nervous. It's like, well, that's okay. It's probably through a view screen, but it would have been nice if she'd known. No, somebody is alive in the secondary hull, but I don't know how many. Because I mean, it doesn't change the paradigm whatsoever for me if 5 people arrive in the secondary hull or the 500 that are serving there. People, you're saving everyone on the saucer. Like, she can say, oh, I can feel everyone's, like, the saucer is clearly hundreds of people. Secondary hull could either be between 1 and 1 or 500. You don't know. I don't know.
Well,
it's a small thing. It's just they kind of introduce it and abandon it a little bit.
Well, this is the scene where they determine that Troy's in charge because Lieutenant Monroe is dead, so she's the commanding officer now, and Rose's like, because, yeah. Sean Corpier, $5.
Boom.
You pop your head out of a turbolift and see a Discovery shuttle. LOL. Yeah, the kid's on top of the Discovery turbolift. What do you see? A bunch of shuttles flying around. Can you wave one of those over? Thanks.
No, they look ridiculous. Or re-edit it. Patrick say a line says, "What can you see? Nothing, sir. Are any dots out there functioning? No, sir. No dots. Because where are the dots? In the turbolift caverns.
They should be automatically repairing the ship, but
they should be. They should be.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what do you think of the chain of commandness?
It does kind of bother me as well. She's a goddamn counselor, but because she's lieutenant commander, she's the highest rank. It's kind of like, yeah, but it's not your forte. You didn't take command training. You do that later. So you should pass it to one of these people who obviously has more experience than you. Even Ro, I would trust more than Troy. But that being said, if Ro was in charge, half the ship would be destroyed and people would be dead. So
The tricky thing is that she's presumably older than both O'Brien, older than everyone else on the bridge, and they're
yep.
all ensigns. Although O'Brien is who the hell knows what he is. He changed rank. I don't know if they say in this episode. I couldn't tell what he was. Obviously less than lieutenant commander, but that's a high rank, so it doesn't really say anything. So she's, I mean, someone wouldn't give ensign row. She's an ensign. She has no training, no experience, and this other guy's an ensign. So O'Brien would be the next natural choice to be in command, but he's a transporter chief. He has no speciality outside of engineer. You know what I mean? Like none of them here are able to lead it. Roe thinks she could, but that's because she's a bratty kid in the subject of who she is. Doesn't mean she couldn't lead. Just she's a bratty kid. She's not a seasoned officer. She actually doesn't want to be in Starfleet. Well, at least as much.
Yeah. Yeah. And O'Brien can't fix anything until he can fix everything on Deep Space Nine. So.
Yeah, he doesn't fix jack on this, does he? My only thing about this is that we have literally never known her rank until this moment. I don't know if the writers worked out her rank because it's been irrelevant up to this point.
Yeah.
That's a really high rank to give her. Like Lieutenant Commander is one away. We know there's only like 3 commands on the entire ship. We had this discussion once. So she's the highest rank apart from the top 3. Highest rank. There. There's no way higher she can go in the chain of command without radically changing her mission profile on the ship. Right? But how did she get that higher rank? Is she that, like, did she be such a good counselor that the captain said, "Oh, you should be a higher rank counselor. Or your counseling this week was superb. We're gonna promote you as a counselor." It's like, but why would you be a higher rank counselor? What have you done?
Because
counseling wise, that judges you higher rank.
If you check the security footage of the corridor outside her door, you'd see a lot of admirals coming out of there with very big smiles on their faces. That's how. No, I'm just kidding. That's a bad thing.
Because surely counselors should be out of the rank structure because they're not, like, she's a she was trained on Beta Z, she's all that stuff. She's not part of the, you know, she shouldn't even have a rank necessarily. It feels like that's absolutely an honorary rank. Like, we need you to have a certain rank to have a certain level of clearance to do missions. But I don't really think she earned that by doing really good counselling. Unless it's just a form she can write down and apply to get a higher rank because she's that old. You know? So why would she be that higher rank? Just to have clearance for things?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
She's not a very good counsellor, like, really. Like, she's fine, but she's not almost top rank level. What do you guys think? I think it's ceremonial. Like, some people get honorary degrees. I've got a doctorate. Yeah, it's honorary. Yes, but I'm famous. Oh, okay, that's fine. So I feel like she's got honorary rank.
Well, there's a shot of the ship with no lights on, but it bugs me because you can still see the white and black windows. Those are supposed to be lit up windows and windows with the lights off. And yet, even with the lights off, unless people have their shades pulled, it's the white. Anyway.
I thought it was kind of good they kept them on because there's clearly still lights all over the ship. Like some lights. Yes, it shouldn't be the exact same pattern, but I mean the bridge had some light. 10-4 had some light.
I'll buy that.
And
but it doesn't look like light. It doesn't look like light here. It just looks like
dull.
I mean, in the neck it does, but
yeah,
on the saucer it really doesn't. It just looks like it was painted, like how I paint models to represent lights being on and off on the ship.
Obviously, it's because it is. It's a non-painted, you know.
Yeah.
It's a piece of glass that is not being lit currently. It's the diffusion puzzle. It's really fun to see the ship how it looks without the extra passes on top. Because that's what it is. They didn't turn those passes on.
And BJ Turan, I disagree. He says they should have tilted the ship. I forget what episode of Star Trek it is where you see the ship and it's like, it's one of the TOS ones, I think, where it's just like
TNG as well. They have an Enterprise D tilted.
Yeah, it looks a little. It's not necessary to know that there's a problem. You know what? The cameraman who's filming that day was drunk.
And look, right. In fairness, if the ship's here, the camera guy just does this. Now they're level.
Yep.
Levels relative. So unless the camera's choosing to be slanted.
Yeah. BJ Turan, $2. You both made my points on line versus staff officers.
Yes.
Okay.
It is strange. It is strange, and she's, you know, it's like you wouldn't expect to.
Anyway, then we get 10 forward, which is in shambles, but it's like set up as an emergency medical triage here. And Data's checked the ship, all access to the bridge, and engineering has been, it's down. We can't get anywhere. We can't get to sick bay. So we're going to try to use the only turbolift shafts we can to get down to engineering. Worf, you're in charge here. Okay. See, and everybody gets something to do here, and I love this because all the main characters have stuff to do, and I love that. So,
no, and some half the roles aren't necessarily what they're best at. Rikering is leading, but hasn't the engineering skill to do anything. It's Data's role, and obviously most of them aren't doing what they're good at. And I kind of wish Worf was pushed a bit more in the dealing with the triage stuff. But there's so much they could do. So they have to do a lot less with lots of people. But yeah, certainly a fine scene. And with this one's, again, they committed to making Ford look a bit shit. I like that. Underused, I think, but done well. And I like each team genuinely does fall on the assumption that the ship's more damaged than it could be. Except I guess Geordie sort of ignores it, their current problem. Riker is like, oh, I'm captain now. Potentially, I'm going to treat it that.
Well, he made the assumption. He said, let's assume everyone on the bridge is dead.
Yeah. Well, he knows Picard's on the bridge, probably.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't know because it looked like Picard's day off because he was wearing his jacket. Later at the end of the episode, he's got his uniform on. But
Darmok's on day off, is it? I mean, it's still a duty uniform.
Well, he was doing something when Darmok started, though. Like he might have been off, anyway, it doesn't matter. Riker wouldn't know that he was on the bridge necessarily because he knew that today was the day he was taking those kids to do that thing.
So, well, I think as the guy that runs the duty shift, I assume he would know where he would be roughly. Like, okay, he's scheduled to do this day. So I kind of like the fact that he takes command. Again, underdone, but it just kind of we just need to deal with this emergency. Dom
Blanco, $10. Thank you so much. A rarity in the U.S. military is the LDO, Limited Duty Officer. In appearance, you wouldn't never know the difference, but their rank is for the carrying out of duties. They do not have the proper commission. Yeah. Well, that's the problem with Starfleet. It's a blending of all the military branches, so this command structure is really kind of strange. In TOS, it was more naval, and there's a lot more naval similarities throughout all of Star Trek. But you always get the outliers like Colonel West. There's no colonels in Starfleet until there is, and that scene was even cut from the theatrical release anyway. So, there's weird stuff going on with the military or the Starfleet structure. So,
well, yeah, it's both and neither. I mean, it's a unique entity because of course it is. It's space, but then we get the Geordie stuff.
And they try to open the door, and that's when she notices the fire, and then it flares up. So. It makes sense. He was going to do the manual release for the door. Yeah,
they just skip past it so quick. It's easy to lose track.
But if you look at the door, it is the heavy duty the double the clunking doors.
Yeah.
And that makes sense for a cargo bay because if that room depressurized and they couldn't get the force field up, you wouldn't want a regular door on there. So
yes, and I really like the way Gates says the wall's warm because it sounds like a non-important comment. But these ships are extremely carefully controlled. Anything weird is probably real weird. I really like how she plays that. It's like, oh shit.
One thing I didn't like was he's like, where? We're wearing your visor, right, Geordie? You can always see micro fractures and everything. So you can't look up and go, okay, it's hot there. Damn. Anyway.
I'm mostly with you, but by the same token, you wouldn't have every spectrum on. He's not looking for stuff.
Well, true. That is true, but
he should go to oh wait. Let's have a look. But it has happened so quick. I guess he's not thinking.
And actually, it's the panel that he took off to get to the actuator that flames up with the plasma fire. It's not like the one next to it or anything as well.
Well, he's actually doing something in it. He basically triggers a fire. He sparks it.
Yeah.
Basically. And I got to admire the effect here because I'm sure it's a digital, it's a composite effect. It's a really good plasma fire.
And it's all green and glowy like her ghost boyfriend a couple seasons later. Maybe she's all excited by it.
Yeah, showing flashbacks to this then. Oh my god.
Yeah. Remember that plasma fire? Oh. It was so hot, just like me right now. Moving on.
Constant danger, Stuart. Constant danger. Even the small to the big. I like it.
Yeah, and even the stuff, the palladium in these containers, which is used for thruster packs, doesn't do well with radiation. So, and I love that they eventually just shove them to the other side of the bay where it's like 20% less.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool because they have a tendency to explode, but that's a little bit later.
Yeah, and well, yeah, we'll get there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, here they look like lights are on the ship when you see the next shot of the ship. Okay, I'll take back my complaint.
Yeah, I'm assuming they just thought it looked too lifeless when that passes off, because we do obviously every room needs to have light to see, and if space is black, that would pop. But yeah, I mean, it's just a choice, isn't it?
Lockbeard says, "Can't bounce ideas off you folks. You only recite facts, but have no imagination of your own." What? You apparently haven't watched any of our content then, so.
And also, we're talking about this episode of season 5, episode 5. So throw ideas at us. I mean, we are responding to the chat about what you guys think. We're talking about this. We're reviewing an episode. Lockbeard. That's what we're here to do. Let us know what you think.
Earlier, he said, "God damn, this chat is bland." Well, it might not be the place for you, my friend. We have some of the best community of Star Trek fans around, so.
Real clever guys. And gals, and in between. And aliens. And gaseous beings.
That's me after eating Taco Bell.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
All right, so back in the turbolift. This is where he makes the girl his number one, makes the other guy the science officer for some reason.
Well, no, because he's science project. The other kid, because he's the one that worked with the bugs, the moths. The other kid just did a radish.
Yeah.
So he is a science officer. That makes sense.
This points him as executive officer in charge of radishes.
And that's the payoff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for nothing, sir.
I just was waiting for a radish emergency. I was waiting for the payoff, or maybe that would have been awful, wouldn't it? But at the end, after number one says, the two number one say a thing, Geordie should have walked in and said, "Captain, the radishes on deck 4 are going wild," and the kid's like, it's like, my time has come in his face. But this is a genius scene. It's literally 4 people sitting on the floor in a tiny set, which, considering it doesn't look like it's that wide angle lens, they're doing a very good job. Like, I don't think they took the walls out to film, because that would change the lighting. So they could have, but it feels like they are still in the room. So they're doing very well not making it feel wide angle. But actually having the pips is a beautiful idea that I know the writer must have been like, "Oh, I have an idea. What is it, Jerry?" That's a great... Like, it's so simple, but it's so effective. And also it speaks to the later seasons where, because I call him number one, not his role is number one, which, obviously number one was in TOS as well, or Cage, I should say. But it wasn't just a title everyone gave every second officer.
Yeah, he says that's what I call my second officer. Yeah.
Well, I like the scene. It's sweet, and he's very But I think though, Picard, he loves this formality. He can't think of anything outside the status quo in terms of the kidsness, so he's bringing them into his world rather than him going to their world. And now they've become this unit because he can be a captain, and he treats them
now. Now he's got no rank pips. He's not a captain.
I thought that.
So now we have a lieutenant and 2 ensigns and this old man with a broken ankle.
I thought that. I mean, if insurrection had anything to do, as soon as insurrection, you put the pips down, you're not a captain. No ranks, no orders.
Imagine if everybody died and the rescue ship comes and they find these guys in the turbolift and what the hell happened here? Why
they robbed his body? Why did they rob his body? Why are the people de-aged?
Yeah.
But if they'd seen insurrection, they'd know rank, they'd know no pips, no orders. But they hadn't seen insurrection yet, so it's fine. But it's a good scene, and Picard's doing very well here. Like I say, he's bringing them into his world, and they do well with it. Except Radish Boy that does nothing, but that's fine. He's captain of radishes. It's fine.
Then we get the Jeffries tube, which has a plasma leak, so they have to seal the door. So one way to go, and then of course, at the other end is the electrical problem, and it's like, really? How are things going bad? So bad. So whatever. Convenience.
I thought this was the laziest of them.
Yeah.
its reasons, equal reasons. And it's like, I mean, I like the solution and all that. That's all great, but it feels a little bit too. It's like, okay. I mean, but you know, can't win them all. Showing how many things they're trying.
Beachhead Turon, $2. Number 1 is a term used in the Royal Navy for an XO. Yeah.
But as we said, it's not the Royal Navy. They're based on profit. But
then we get the whole, we got to push these things over to the other side of the cargo bay. You can't trust the anti-grav units, though, with all this radiation. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to pull it a little bit and all of a sudden it deactivates? At least try it. What are they going to fly up to the ceiling for some reason?
Well, have you seen Star Trek? Because it would crash, the thing would spill out, the spill out would then move across the floor close to the green fire, and it would explode. So yes, 100%. That's the silly gag they would do.
Clever. It's clever.
And then they'd say, I thought Johnson was meant to steal these. I guess he didn't.
That guy.
Yeah. But I love how their problem is real simple, but it's effective. So the way they pad out their story is, we've got to move these big heavy containers for 2 hours. Okay, that's them sorted for 2 hours of the plot. It's such an effectively simple solution.
Good tea, nice house.
Yes.
What's in $5? I was hoping one of these kids' characters would have appeared in Star Trek Picard all grown up. I thought the same thing. Yeah. I thought the same thing. That's why I said the blonde grows up to be Girardi, changes her name. It's all psycho because of this incident.
Well, that's
PTSD.
Oh, goodness.
104 viewers, 90 likes, guys. Hit that like button. I want to get to 100 likes. Very doable. So hit that like button if you haven't. That includes you, Lockbeard. If you're still here, hit the like button. You hit this like too. I don't care because it actually helps the channel. So.
Well, this is a good episode of TNG. You know, it's the Star Trek 4, but if everything went blowy uppy from the start to every team, you know, everyone gets something to do.
Yeah.
Oh, then we get your bridge scene that you like.
Yeah. Talks about the quantum filaments, and she's like, "Oh, what's a quantum filament? Well, it can be hundreds of meters long. Has no mass, which makes it very difficult to detect." And she's like, "So it's like a cosmic string." No, that's a completely different phenomenon. Good. You're trying. Troy. Good job.
And the acting here is so pitch perfect. He's not condescending, and he's not patient in the sense of getting annoyed. He's like, I mean, why would you know? Like, there's no malice here. He's very pure, and I really appreciate that. He stands out as just such a good officer in this episode. Yeah. And
then here he's like, "What did you just do?" And just where she dumped all the energy from the phasers into the engineering control system. He's like, "You what? You can't do that. That's a completely improper procedure." Like, he's one of these by the book guys, I think. And
that's why he never beamed anyone into space while he thought about it.
Yeah,
that's why.
Beaming all into space right now.
Because the book says not to. Otherwise he would have.
Yeah. You can't dump that much raw power into a bridge terminal without. I love that because later in DS9 he does shit like this all the time. He's just jury rigging shit.
It's true.
Cardassian technology mixed with Federation technology. I thought it was great. He's learning from Ro here. It's part of his character development. But anyway, yes, we find out the engine status here. We have half impulse available, but odd readings from the warp drive. So basically, the containment field is starting to fail. If it's 15%, the ship blows up. Right now, the field's at 40%, though.
Yeah, it's a good set of scenes, and you do kind of feel the chemistry of these actors here. And I appreciate Ro's acting here because they really go hard on the technobabble. It's very, very, very mostly good in that it makes sense, but there is a lot of stuff that is very, how do you emote except we're in danger? And I appreciate everyone's commitment because lots of actors couldn't deliver this, and she does a very good job here considering. I think it's probably too much of that, but as a writer myself, the situation drama and how much you devote time writing-wise versus personal stuff, there's so much they've got to do, X, Y, and Z, there's so little they can do as characters. It's how they approach it, it's how the actors approach it. And she put a lot of her little nuance into those. Same with O'Brien. So I really appreciate that. But if it's just a case of power, why? I mean, like I said at the start, why can't phaser power more than one station? The station surely has very little power, unless she's implying the station also is like all power to engineering subsystems, which would be interesting. That would be a better way of saying it, because why wouldn't the entire bridge power up? And if it's just power, pull power from all places.
All power to the
engines. Yeah. So again, but I do think this would be the moment that everything comes back up, but still can't control it because the computer's down. You know, they obviously want.
No, it would have been. She says dumping raw power in. It would have been great if everything like fired up at the back, all the science stations, and then
yes, yep.
But the engineering one like flickered and kind of stayed on.
Yeah, I could see.
And she would be kind of like in the wrong, but Brian would be justified in not the improper procedure thing. That would have been kind of neat.
Well,
but
I'll be honest.
I see what you're saying.
I was absolutely waiting for when after Troy later on says, "Okay, put all the power we need to down to them." I was expecting a payoff to this moment where the console explodes because it's not used to handling this much power and like swapping power around. And then they're like, okay, this either worked or didn't.
We don't have any control up here anymore.
Exactly.
So they either have it or they don't.
Yep.
We can't tell.
Yep.
That would have been fine too. Yeah.
Because then like they've all been right at different points, but the situation was lucky enough that it went well. I think that would have been useful. Yeah.
Mm. So back in the Jeffries tube, they can't shut this off, this energy flow, but they need something to break the circuit, and they basically work out that Data's body can do it. I love it, and Riker's like, no, first of all, Android or not, I wouldn't ask anybody to do that.
Great line.
It's like 500,000 amps. Yeah. He's like, what would that do to your body? Cause systems failure in internal processors and melt my primary power couplings. But I think I'll be fine. You can take my head. Anyway. Cut this circuit with Data's body, take his head, and move on, which is great. And I love when they do it, too, because the look on Riker's face is hilarious. Data steps out, and Riker's like looking up at him. And then he falls to the ground and just, Data! It's so great. Riker's acting here is awesome.
And you gotta love these Jeffries Tube box sets. So effective. And I those control panels, like someone presumed I could have designed those little control things, but it looks so effective. So effective.
Mm-hmm.
My only note here, except you kind of saw it was coming a bit earlier than, when the Sin said, what else do we have? Like, there's nothing here we can use. It's like, well, yeah, you have Data. That's the only thing you have, literally. There's nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although it said Trikyards or something. Or I guess maybe he does? No, he's got a light. I was wondering why he didn't remove Data's head first. Because why risk the body destruction and brain if you can take the...
I thought the same thing, but then how are you going to get the body into the arc?
You
can't walk on its own necessarily. And pushing it... Well, risk the chance of it like arcing out and hitting his arm or something.
The problem is he's either too heavy or he's not too heavy. In some scenes he can't be moved,
yes,
but he can also push him. So you can't say he's too heavy. He pushed him over a minute ago, or in a minute. But it plays so quick. But I wish they'd said, once he's damaged, and I love the burn panel on his chest, very effective. It looks really, really good. I wish he'd said, my body is toast, like some line of, I can't feel anything, I can't use my body, take my head, because I'm assuming that's the implication, but they don't say it. It would have been nice payoff to say, my body is toast, head's fine. They never say it.
Burnt toast.
Yeah, small thing. And then we get more turbolift extra set, which I love.
Dan H says, do we ever read the chat? Yeah, we skim the chat quite often as we're talking, but that's what our moderators are for. If there's anything important, they'll draw it to our attention. But yes, we do read the chat. We do call out certain comments and stuff as well. Mm-hmm. So Dan H, yes, we do.
But we are trying to review an episode here and keep it under 2 hours. You're here to you're here to have a show, not just talking to people. We have those as well. We just start the chat. But this is a show. And yes, Ryan.
Dan Stelzer puts in $2.
Yeah.
Were they setting up for Rowe and O'Brien for DS9? Probably.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's so true. Why else would you put in this episode specifically? Oh, yes.
Area 51, $5. Troy, like a cosmic string? Not exactly. Like a black hole? No. A meteor shower? Sweet Jesus. Or as O'Brien would do it, sweet Jesus. Jesus.
That's great. Yeah, that you. See, there should be a fan film just on that. Get two lookalikes and sound alikes. Just make that scene longer. But he would be patient the entire time. Because, and this is reference to how Stuart has talked about previously. He's had so much training with Keiko that no matter what Troy says, he'll never be as much as Keiko. So he can take anything. That one's for you, Stuart. That's to you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Uh,
Well, we're back in the turbolift, and this is where they send the one kid up. And he looks at the clamps. The one clamp is broken, so that's why the turbolift has been shaking.
And it was kind of awkward. They say, "Look for this." I see it. Do you see this? I see it. I'm like, oh, they haven't built a set. They're not going to show it. And then they show this tiny little thing that's barely notable. It's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? It was like a weird.
And what he describes isn't even a thing. It's half out of the track. Not really. It's jagged, torn metal.
Yeah. Because it goes so quick and it's so dark, I can't even see it. This is the first time I'm actually looking at it. What even is that?
Script line is not jiving with the visual, but that's okay. We get that this idea that the safety clamp malfunctioned or broken.
And boy, Picard's so like honest with them, and he does it in such a professional, calm, good way. It's really quite impressive.
And brilliant acting on Patrick Stewart's part for the broken ankle thing. He really pulls it off. It looks very genuine, his pain and the way he's shuffling around. Maybe he had a broken ankle at some point in his life, because good job.
But it was still underplayed because he has to stay professional for these people. Because I think once that thing to switch in his brain from kids to crew, this is exactly how it would be to any crew. He's very equal opportunity here, even though they were young.
This is where he says you got to take you got to take your crew up the ladder, find one of the doors, and get out. And they're like, "No, we're not leaving you behind." And he's like, "All right, fine, I'll try." Because he says, "I have a broken ankle. I'll just slow you down." Now the thing that bothers me about this, just climb up the ladder and try to get out a door. We see later he's climbing up the ladder. Beep beep doop doop. Doop 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 doop. Ah shit! It didn't work.
Great sound.
You got to tell them that. Are you going to yell that up the turbolift shaft? Probably, maybe, I guess. But really, anyway. Anyway, they decide that they're taking him with them, and cool, yay, keeping them everybody.
Stuart was doing so well. I think this scene is actually remarkably good. Remarkably good. It's a great payoff to the characters. It's a great payoff to Picard's arc. The fact that you buy this girl is actually that she feels older than she is, that she's making this decision for everyone else, and that Picard respects it and doesn't fight it because he's, you could argue this is a very sensible way around as well. As you said, what can they do alone? Nothing. So it's a really remarkably strong scene where everyone gives it their all, and it's just it's a this feels like these kids should have come back. This kid would have this girl would have felt really strengthened by this. You could have seen an episode where double act again, and he has to rely on her, or she has to be in command of the bridge because now she has that.
It still might with Lower Decks and Picard ongoing. Who knows?
Yeah.
So back in the cargo bay, this is where they decide that we need to get this plasma fire out because this stuff is still, the rads are increasing on. It's going to explode. Put the fire out by depriving it of oxygen, and at the same time get rid of all this stuff. So Geordi's idea is to open up the cargo bay door, deactivate the force field, hold your breath. Oh, he also makes the point too that he's been trying to get the transporter to work, the cargo transporter. He can't get power to it, which brings me to my next thing. The whole time I'm thinking, okay, what are the odds that the door is going to have power and or the force field's going to work properly?
Very low.
That's the one system on the ship that's actually working, I guess. So Anyway.
Well, but you could possibly argue that force field tech in general is one of the strongest subset systems. Oh, sorry?
It's for emergencies.
Yeah.
To seal off. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it again. That's what force fields are there for emergency purposes, to seal off holes, hull ruptures, breaches. So yeah, you'd think it's a system that would work for sure. So.
Yeah, because if you're in a battle, you need this. Bulkheads get blown up. Force fields are the last line of defense. They have everything that always succeeds. So in that respect, just like the oxygen and the gravity, those three systems are going to be the absolute most redundant, and the power core. Like the main EPS conduits. If any of them function individually, you're a bit screwed. So I buy it. Although it would be nice if Geordie made mention to I managed to reroute power. Because if power's been the biggest concern the whole episode. It's not been about damage per se. It's about the things not interconnecting properly. Simple thing, managed to reroute power, but small thing. But yeah, ladder, great. Back to Keiko and we see this older officer who I don't think we see the rank of. But it shows you can be an older personage and still be a lower rank, because most people on the ship are lower rank. Absolutely,
Matt Boardman, $5. I'm such
Matt.
a dork. Ever since I was a kid, I hold my breath during this scene for as long as they do. I did too. I try to do that for a lot of those scenes just to see how realistic it is for me. I'd be dead. Goddamn.
Yeah. But yeah, Keiko goes into labor and start of the subplot.
Worf's reaction to it is great. It's not a good time. Don't do it now. It's not my choice.
No, but you can also, you can see why he would say that, because he's just reacting honestly without the filter of, I mean, could you not hold it for like 10 minutes, 2 hours? It's like you waited for months here. Yeah, he's not really he's not wise in the world of babies. He missed his first son's birth, and he's had no further sons. So there you go. That was his chance. But yeah, it's she does good. She does good here.
So now we get the briefing room scene. Why do you need to go to the briefing room? You don't want the one ensign that's on the bridge with you to hear the conversation. Just have the conversation on the bridge.
That's funny.
Because that's what the briefing room is for. The rest of the bridge staff doesn't need to know what's going on. This is for important meetings. So for them to use this, I thought was really odd. Anyway.
The only thing I would caveat that is that he's actually busy fixing something really important. If you have everyone being briefed, and this isn't a quick meeting either. You can tell it's like they talk about it for a few minutes. He needs to do stuff to fix the ship, and he's not. She doesn't trust him. She does not trust him. He might be only like 21. These people have more experience, so I can buy that. Can you and just the fact of, can you really leave the bridge unmanned? You shouldn't leave the bridge unmanned. So.
Yeah, they go in here. The door works. Then the door doesn't work.
Yeah. And then Riker comes up. It's like, no to the bridge. Diana. Yeah, we got locked in the briefing room. When? Oh, like halfway through. What? Yeah, I don't know. It was bad. Anyway, I don't know.
Here they talk about the one inverter thing, and if it fails, then the warp core is going to go critical faster. So Rose's idea is to separate the ship and put some distance, because they have half impulse at least for the saucer section, I guess. Get some distance between the two in case it does explode. At least save everybody in the saucer section. And they're like, well, we would. Would you want us to cut you loose and leave you down there without? He's like, no, of course not. But I wouldn't expect you to put everybody else in jeopardy because to save me. So I get her point, but decisions made by Deanna to keep working as a single ship. So
I mean, both solutions have merit. It's up to the command officer to make a decision. But just as we just had with Picard and the children, risk everyone's lives for the sake of everyone else's lives. But in any other situation where the main plot needed there to be this dramatic situation, they'd pick the other option. So it's either arguable. I'm just honestly impressed, and I'll say it now as it goes on, the fact that Ro didn't mutiny, because she's not one to follow rules. If she thinks this undertrained, out of her depth, doesn't know what she's doing officer is choosing to get them all killed, then in other episodes, Stuart, where people have to mutiny to protect the lives of their crew, she's within her rights to force Troy's position. Like, she's totally within her rights to say, Deanna, I'm here's a phaser, get in the briefing room, I'm taking over because you're going to kill the crew. I'm going to save the crew because you're going to kill the crew. She could justify that. I don't think a court in the Starfleet would call against her. You know, she has no information. So it's just going pure instinct here, and I'm amazed that Rose sticks with her. That shows that she's grown already in 4 episodes, and the plot needs it. But if 4 episodes ago, wouldn't have said yes. Must have been a great 4 episodes of Time and Enterprise.
Yeah, and this is also the discussion where they're like, if anybody's down in engineering, they might not even be aware there's a problem because I'm reading no power down there. So can we send power from the bridge? Yeah. To turn on some monitors down there. God damn it. I'm getting sick of it and cut off. Anyway, so this is where that plan's formulated, and it's a good plan. Area 51, $5.
Hey.
I didn't want to tell the ensign that they need to kill him to keep the bridge life support going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense as well. Oh dear. Okay, that's funny. No, it's actually a really good scene, and it's really nice to see Deanna not do stuff that's related to, because this has nothing to do with her job. But she's, it's good to see her do that stuff, and she's good, Can't really fault her in her acting, and it's nice to see this team do this. It's good, and she definitely stands up to Ro, even though Ro is much taller than her and more opposing, but she acts it well. Yeah, she does good.
Yeah, and BJ Turan makes a good point. Ro can't mutiny because O'Brien wouldn't follow. Yeah, exactly. She's basically outnumbered 3-1 if she couldn't mutiny.
But then that could be because you could argue then that because O'Brien is too loyal to Troy and won't listen to reason. Like I'm saying, you could argue the reason of her point very easily.
Yes.
It's just, and so therefore Judge might also side with her. It's just, whatever. Now this is my biggest problem this episode, honestly, is this hard cut from the conference room to them now climbing. How do they all get out?
I thought the same thing. There's no way that he'd be able to get out. He could barely reach the top when he tried. And he fell against the side.
I don't even think he could. Like his fingers, but not enough to get a grip, and then, yeah.
Exactly. There's no way he could get out.
Yeah.
The kids, yes. The kids would not be able to lift him up. Although all 3 may.
Well, I mean, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. They're connected by this fiber, which you could probably argue is extremely strong, because of course, sci-fi future material. So Picard would have to lift the kids out. Fine, doable. He'll deal with the pain. Okay. And then I guess, they rope him up. But they probably have to, go to each side of the turbolift and, pull. But then it kind of goes against the turbolift being wonky from the fact that the clamps aren't working. And so if you're going to have that much movement, that much, bracing yourself. But it does fall very quickly after. So they are out of time. Maybe doing that rescue does break it enough. But that hard, I don't know how you'd fix that, because it's not something you'd want to show. But it's not a good edit. It's like, you've pushed too far.
There's no way that he'd be able to get out. With the fiber optic cable or not, I don't think. It's impractical. So that's why they didn't show it, because I don't think there's any.
Yeah, they couldn't write it. Yeah.
But yeah, here he tries the door a few times, buttons and expected the kids to do this, seriously. But we get a nice shot of the turbolift shaft.
Yeah.
Exactly how a turbolift shaft should look. I don't see any work bees flying around, so we're good. Emergency ladder, just in case. Perfect.
How it always is and will be.
And should be. Yes.
And I also really like the way they did the model work here at falling, because it's obviously not a practical set. The thing didn't really fall. It's some sort of optical effect. I thought they did a very, very good job. It's just, the kid composited on probably, but it's just very good. Very well done. Thing falls. I couldn't hear it blow up, but I'm glad you said it was.
Yeah, you do hear an elevator crash, yes. Yeah. But then they sing Frere Jacques, because why not?
It's a little bit cringe, but then okay, fine.
And did you notice her boots? They reminded me of Lower Decks boots,
Yeah,
the white ones.
yeah, they're
Um,
so.
but
Here, look at us boots.
yeah, he asks if they know any songs. She's like, "The Laughing Vulcan and his dog." But anyway,
Yeah, and I almost think that was a improv like that was a line that Patrick didn't know because his reaction was like, "What?"
yeah,
It was such a good what? So naturalistic. I actually love it, and I kind of like this shot. It's overdone in a sense, but having just to watch them walk up shows they actually built a practical set, and it gives us that sense. I mean, presumably it only goes so high and they climb right out. You know, but it gives it a really nice feel. It's so simple, but effective. I like it.
they should have them climbing deck 75. Next scene, deck 75.
Deck 12, Deck 98, Deck 42. Remaster it, guys. Remaster it with absurd deck numbers. But also like that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe when they look up, they do see another turbolift higher. So they've only got a few decks of leeway. So I'm pretty sure I saw one at the top of the shop, like about 5, 6 decks. So
I didn't notice that. I think they might. Well, they might be near the top of the ship too, because they just left the bridge.
yeah, they haven't got that much. I mean, they can go, I guess, now go lower, but they've not
Yeah.
got that many chances. This isn't unlimited potluck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now they can go lower because
Now they
the
can.
elevator fell. Turbolift fell, so if they need to, they can go back down. But
That feels more dangerous to me.
yeah, well, exactly. Especially with the kids tied the way they were. Gotta let the kids go first. So
Yeah.
then we get Keiko in labor, and she asks if the baby's turned. He's like, "What?
Yeah.
Can't you tell?" I'm like, no. So the baby's coming early, because she still has months to go on her pregnancy. So it's actually a premature birth. So, but yeah.
And I actually quite like. I never considered the turning thing. You know, you quite. You know, you learn stuff about pregnancy in this.
And the whole have you ever delivered a baby thing? No. Yes. No. Simulation. And I only assisted. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Sergeant Montgomery, $2. They need Spock's boots.
Mm-hmm. Well, they talk about jet packs earlier. Was it thruster packs?
Mm-hmm. Thruster packs. That's what's in the cargo bay that's sucking up all the radiation. The fuel for it, anyway. Anyway, so then we get the whole, you're going to feel extreme pressure on your lungs. Don't breathe out. Your hands and feet are going to get cold and numb, and some capillaries will burst on the surface of your skin. Sounds like fun. So then got to open the door, close the door, then crawl to the panel by the door to or repressurize the bay. So actually, this is a pretty cool scene.
Yeah. Like you said, it's very run-of-the-mill, day-to-day. Like, it feels like procedural, and I appreciate Gates's, like, as soon as she goes back into medical mode, she's so, boom, professional. It might not be the most exciting stuff to watch, per se, but it, you know, yeah, it follows their journey well.
The special effect of the barrels going out, there's a lot less barrels there than they think they pushed, but that's okay. It's still a cool visual.
Yeah. Yeah. Miniature is miniature, but it's effective. And I love the fact that if you think about what's really happening, there's a wind machine and guys are throwing barrels
Yes.
off, like, into camera and off.
Yeah.
Like, it's just.
Yeah.
But it works. It works really well.
I want to ask Matt, because he holds his breath during this scene. Do you ever make it all the way to the end of the scene? Can you repressurize the bay if we need you? Matt, let us know. I need to know as your captain if you can do that for us. Should the need arise.
Yeah. And I
love how she just slaps the panel. She hits no specific button.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, I would like to think, and I'm going to really push myself here, I'd like to think that he rerouted it so that every single button does the same thing for safety.
Yeah.
Because the insanity of, I'm so disoriented, I press this one little button, 4th from the right, 6th down, that's the one
From
saves
the
our
ground,
lives.
because I'm probably passing out.
Yeah, like, that's an absurd situation, and she plays like, ugh. So it must be something like that. Yeah. Which is fun. I mean, that, like with his, yeah. But it's good. It's good. It actually surprisingly works. They act it well. Yeah. Oh, next scene is there's no more consoles. Damn it, I thought the back consoles were working. Well, they kind of are. More consoles, anyway.
Yeah. They got some lights on them.
As something almost blows up and they undo it as a thing starts to. I love the graphic. It's really simple, but you know exactly what it's saying. These boxes of death got readier, and they're fine. Boxes of death.
Should be pointed out too that Ro also has everything ready to go for sausage separation.
Yes.
So it's ready to go.
Which is very appropriate. The option should be there. Although thank goodness that system's still working.
Yeah, that's a major system, which
Yeah.
requires a lot of work because it's got to close off all the bulkheads, it's got to close off all the turbolift
Well,
shafts, it's got to.
They already are. Let's be fair. They probably already are. No, it's part of the old system.
Matt Boardman, $5. I didn't at first, but I worked my way up and can totally do it every time now. But at the same time, I don't have bait decompressing on me.
Bit of stress there. Bit of stress, yeah. That's cool, I think.
Yeah.
Then we get into the
All
scene. Right. I do think they do Brent data space extremely well, but it feels limited because, of course, it's an expensive, confusing thing to do. And so the way they kind of show engineering, it feels not like this epic heart of the ship. It's empty. Mm-hmm. It's in close-ups. It's lost the epicness that you would think this scene would have. It feels like it's gone into like a small room. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the payoff feel. It has another scene, step. But this is they're saving the day.
Yeah.
Well, I think Data.
They figure out that.
That's right.
They figure out that the power has been shunted from the bridge, so there's something that they want us to know.
Well, they need us to see.
Yes. We find out that it's actually down to 18%. So once it's 15, the ship blows up. So
and it goes down to 16, I believe, as well. Like it goes down in the scene. So they're like seconds away from death, which would also imply that Marina on the bridge is choosing not to separate and therefore choosing to kill everybody for those last few seconds, which probably isn't a good thing because they were going to die.
Anyway, Data can't stabilize it. Riker has to reroute stuff, and I love how he's like picking around his brain. He's like, that's not the right port. And you need a bigger head. Just the look Data gives him is kind of funny. It would have been funny, because my threshold for safety margins probably would have been 17-18% to get some distance. So it would have been interesting if they got down that far, and just as they fixed the containment thing, they started the sausage separation sequence. Yep. So at the end, they actually are separated. But that would have been kind of interesting. But
I mean, this whole episode reeks of the things they could have done with more time, but they had they already pushed their length in terms of how much they cram in anyway. Like you said, the subplot of them walking to engineering, the blast door's closed, there's a crew there trying to get through, they're using phasers to try and burn through the blast door, it's not working, they need Data's head to get through, because there's just so lack of anything in engineering. And I don't believe for a second that nobody in the entire ship who's an engineer, that there's a second in command on duty in engineering with an entire engineering staff and people asleep who, oh no, I should head to engineering, they might need me. There's potentially 100 engineering staff.
Yeah, there's second, third, fourth in command usually, just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 100 trained engineer staff actively not helping the problem, when they should all be trying to help the problem right now. And I do not buy for saying that none of them can get to a secondary engineering console and see, oh, we're about to blow up.
Yeah. There's auxiliary control rooms on ships for reasons. Like that's a plot hole in this episode for sure. For sure.
They needed a buzz of activity of people going in, noticing, and he takes charge. Massively missing, and it definitely. This ship is really big and a lot of people.
Yep, 1,012 to be exact.
I think it's a small thing, and it end of budget, but a two-parter would have given them a budget. But yeah, the Data thing's hilarious. It's very clever. Although, boy, if it's that easy for him to do problem solving like this, really plug him in more often. It takes one USB plug and no time at all. He can fix problems with his brain. That's a useful skill to have. I'm just saying. Well,
I love here how it goes up 20%, 25%, And right away, as much as I don't like her, Ro turns to Troy and says, "I was wrong, counselor." But then her being a counselor and understanding people's feelings,
Yes.
you could have easily been right.
Yep.
So it wasn't an "I told you so" moment on anybody's part.
Yep.
It was very well handled. I appreciate. Then, of course, Picard and the kids get the turbolift door open, crawl up, and he's got his ankle there, and the kid like kind of crawls across it. I'm thinking, don't hit my ankle, you little bastard.
He
literally moves his foot out of the way.
Literally grabs the first ankle, not broken one, to get up. It's like, damn. Okay. Thank goodness. And she hugs him.
But then and then he shakes the other guy's hands. Yay, bonding.
I don't even, do they even say anything?
What's that? Say it again?
Do they even say anything in this moment?
No.
Yeah, it's so small. I wish one more thing had happened for a more strong payoff. I don't know what, but yeah, it was a lovely little. I'm sure Patrick really liked this because he's a good father in real life and a grandfather, etc. I'm sure it's probably quite nice to actually work with kids and have his maternal or paternal instinct. And then you go to the Worf's best scene where he's going by the book, and then the book starts to crumble beneath him. But he does succeed. I mean, really, Keiko succeeds. He does nothing at all.
It's funny. You may now give birth.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you can now give birth.
Wonderful lines. And good for Keiko. Good for the actress. She does a great job portraying
Paul N. asks, Enterprise D has a crew of 1,500? No, the exact number is 1,012. So, I don't know where Fleet Pod's getting 1,040. That's not accurate at all. It's 1,012. It's an odd number. Something that we definitely know because we did a whole episode on the 3 parts on the Galaxy class. So, but yeah. Anyway, the baby has turned, comes out fine. Pretty realistic looking newborn baby when it's on the towel.
Yeah, real baby.
What was the last thing you heard?
Realistic baby on the towel.
What was the last thing you heard? Oh, okay. Because then you froze, and I thought you didn't hear me. Because I hate when shows show a newborn baby and it's clearly like 4 months old. Like too big, too clean.
Already got a beard. Just confusing.
Yeah.
No, it's nice. It's cute. I do wish they'd say the name of the child. Obviously, that's later. It would have been a nice payoff to have that moment. I'm surprised because the only things are setups and payoffs. I wish you'd seen the baby and said, Molly, and Worf's like, that was not one of the options. I just know. You were here. I just knew. Because Worf was always there for the previous conversation. Would have been nice. Or O'Brien will not be pleased. I don't care. Something.
This is so good. This is followed up in DS9 where Worf finds out that they're pregnant again, and he's like, "When's the delivery time? Because I'm going to make sure I'm off the station." It's just so well done. And people that watch DS9 and maybe not seen this would be like, "What? Huh?" But it's good.
No, it's good. It's nothing like they don't take anything too far. Like Worf's Klingonness being like, "Oh yes, a warrior Klingon lady would lick
the stuff off the baby."
Yeah, it's very tame. So it's lovely for the actress, and it works well.
Shoot through the umbilical cord.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good. It's exactly what it needs to be. It's just nothing else. But then, ship's flying. All is well. The kids are back. They make an adorable plaque. Legitimately lovely. And Patrick's Picard reaction to them is also genuinely lovely.
Well, hold on. Before that, though,
okay.
She walks towards the captain's chair, and he's like,
"Oh, yes.
Oh, you can't stay away from the chair, eh?" Nah, the captain doesn't really suit me. I think more first officer. I hear they don't do very much.
It's a good line.
Worf and him have the nice little back and forth there, and it's like, "Captain Picard, to the bridge, please."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he comes out, and this is the nicest moment. He's so happy to see them.
Yeah.
And she actually she stumbles over a word here. She stumbles over the word commemorative, because we want to present you this commemorative plaque. Like, she says it very slow, like she couldn't say it. The multiple takes. Anyway, small thing, but and yeah,
lovely.
I made the back piece.
Oh, that's the best joke because there's no payoff. The joke is he's proud. Good
he
job.
works with radishes. He's not like a woodwork. So,
But it's great. I smiled so like, oh, that's nice. And Patrick's like, it's great. It is the back of a plaque. Good job. Although
then,
one thing I will note, it makes sense thematically, but I don't know why they're still wearing pips because they're all in different clothes. So they had to actively change clothes, put the pip back.
they're proud of their pips. Yeah, they earned them.
But you know what I mean? Like I wish there'd been, or I wish the ending had been this, and then he's like, "Oh, I have something for you, number one," and he hands them their pips in a little box to say, "You keep these." That would have been a better moment. So I have something for you as well. Because it doesn't like quite work for me. Their pips still like it's fine they have them, but you know,
he doesn't. Yeah. He does say, "I'm going to finish the tour. I promise you." Starting with the battle bridge. That's great.
Yes.
And
you
have
can
the
press
bridge
the
number
computer
one.
button too. Don't worry.
Yeah. You have the bridge number one, and then the aye sir, smile, smile, and then the wink. The wink from Patrick steals it. Like that's great. That is a great Captain Picard moment. Because he doesn't like kids, but that's great.
Well, there is mini crew though now. That's the great thing. He found that bridge. Literally, figuratively, whatever. My only note here, and I remember this number one line being much cuter the first time, is because I don't remember there being a time jump, and so coming right off the crisis, she's in number one mode. If this is a week later, she wouldn't think that. That's a silly thing to think, even being a child. You know, I remember being right after, and then she's like right in it. So that's my only. But let's have it works great, but it's less cute than I remember. It doesn't work as well. Although I kind of wish maybe even they'd played to that and said, again, a longer two-parter. If Riker had said, "Oh well, number one then, do you want to give an order?" And she's like, "Well, what for? What for?" That I would have played more to that if I'd been on set, for a longer version. Yeah, lovely end.
Fleet Paw Swiftback, $2. Wasn't this plaque in the museum in Picard? Yes.
Boom. Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think definitely a first watch viewing sort of it works better because you don't expect it. As soon as you know the payoff, it's not quite as strong. Doesn't diminish it necessarily. But a lovely end to an unusual episode. Considering how dark, literally and figuratively, the episode is, hell of a nice way to end.
Well, guys, it's time for our final reviews and scores. And same with you guys. If you want to put in your scores,
please
super
do.
Chat would be great. Another $50 would be fantastic for today's live if you're able to. Don't forget there's the last super chat slot as well. So super chat your scores. I'll read them afterwards. If you just put them in the regular chat, Samuel will read them. And let's get another 8 likes to 120 if we can. If you haven't hit like, please hit that like button.
And I would legitimately want to know you guys' scores for this. I don't know what I'm going to give it yet, so let us know what you think.
Give it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, put scores out of 10. Remember, for both this season of TNG and all of TNG, they're both useful scores, especially in our post episode where we look at all the episodes, because that helps me, 2 9s, but if the other score is higher or lower, that really helps to differentiate. So let us know in the chat, and I said $50 would really make a big difference to us. But we'll start with you, Stuart. Final thoughts on this episode.
Like I said earlier, this one's a real ensemble piece. Everybody gets something to do. They even shoehorned in O'Brien and Roe, which I think whoever mentioned that was right. It's a lead up to DS9 because they're thinking about DS9 by this point. And Roe was supposed to be Major Kira, that role. The fact that they had enough for everybody to do something, and it actually worked out really well. I really enjoyed the different parts of what was going on. Plus, it's just a great episode. It always disaster. This one I always remembered fondly by me because it's like it's everything goes wrong. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and it really is a fun episode. The kids kind of bother me a little bit, especially the 2 boys, because they just cannot act. But other than that, some real cool procedural stuff. You see how things are done in emergencies, and it's really kind of neat. So I don't have much else to say about it, honestly. I just think it's really good. So I'm going to score it an 8 out of 10 for season 3. Or for season 5, sorry. Don't ask. I have no idea. I'm also going to give it a 7 out of 10 for all of TNG, because like I said, it's a memorable episode, and you get some real cool stuff. Plus, I actually like Ro in this episode, which is amazing. Even though she's doing what she thinks is right, it's not. But she's not really a bitch about it, and she still follows orders.
Well, you can understand her perspective 100%. There's
absolutely.
So and she does respect everyone else. Like there's that so fine line with Deanna. She's not actually disrespectful. She's actually unro-like in that way, which is interesting.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But in this episode, I like Ro, and I also like Keiko, and those are very strange things for me, and they're both in the same episode. So.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, so those are my scores, and really enjoyed this one. So.
Yeah, so for me, and the guys, like I said, put in your scores, and I would really like to know what you guys think. For me, this one is definitely memorable, a standout of good and fun. The fact they're trying something different, the fact that for the most part everything works. As lots of other episodes, though, it has potential to have been more, but that's more. It's so high already that there could have been more cool things have done. But the fact that arguably Data and Riker feel super underused. Worf is often underused, so it doesn't feel underused, but they do. But that gives the time for everyone else, and everyone has, because so many of them have so little, but they're all memorable. It kind of doesn't feel shiftedly odd, even though it probably is. It doesn't feel it. So well done them for achieving that, because it's a hard thing to do. They fail so often at that balance.
Yeah, one thing I just thought you should do is do a fan film around this. 2 people trapped in one of the turbo lifts during this whole thing.
That's smart.
Or just a room, one of the labs or something. Because I wonder what the rest of the crew is doing. We never see anybody else, especially the people that are supposed to be in engineering. Yeah. So it would be great to do a small little fan film of 2 people that are like they like each other and they're in the turbo lift or something. You know,
a meet cute while the ship is going to shit.
Yeah, and they have no idea what's going on at the same time, but we all do, because you place it, and find out at the end that they hit a quantum filament or something.
I love expand up for a second. If I had more actors and the guidelines didn't exist, imagine doing a re-edit of this episode where you include imagine doing say you could do everyone in fan films, right? Do a fan film re-edit where you actually add 5 new subplots, and you re-edit them in for the entire thing, and so it becomes even more complex and big and complicated. But then you explain why the power got shunted. Like someone says, "Oh, they're trying to shunt power. Okay, we'll redistribute to this and this," and that's why it worked.
Or explain why engineering was evacuated. Yeah, because there was this alarm, there's radiation or something. They had to evacuate it and lock it down. That's why that's why there's nobody there.
And so you write this episode into an hour and a half by showing all the lower decks people. And the whales! You cut to the whales. What do they think? Or dolphins, I mean. Yeah, that would be a rife. But that would be again, you couldn't release it publicly because you don't have to do that with this sort of content. But as a private thing, that'd be fun as a fan film.
What's your scores though?
Yeah, my scores. I don't think I talk about what I didn't like. My own dislikes are somewhat not fully realised. Some slight plots. Grey areas that doesn't necessarily make sense, but it's because they're trying to do so much in such a small time. Of course, it doesn't always make sense. Of course, there are slight, but they're not problems so much as, But then if you're not judging it by the small things, then that's why you're reviewing it for 2 hours. Of course, you're doing that. We're not here to do 10-minute quick things. Score-wise, though, again, this season I feel so tricky for this season because I don't know. It's the best of this season so far, easily for me. Which you've agreed with, so that's already it's going to be a high. All TNG. I think I'll reserve the right to change my this season score later. I think you probably as well, just because this season's going to evolve. I will say 7.5 for each, and reserve the right to up my this season score when I know this season. So I think it's so I've less than you for this season and more than you for overall TNG. I think that's so. Yeah, top.
This is acceptable.
Yeah, top tier. It's missing some secret sauce. Unfortunately, you have to either make it 2-part or remove the Beverly and Geordie subplot or give that some. You'd have to shift it more, but that would remove the fun bit. But it's missing that secret sauce. Something secret saucy about it. But yeah, still good.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, we're still
guys,
$35 away. Just so you guys
know. Fleet Pass Swiftback, $5.
Thank you.
8 out of 10 for season 5. 7 out of 10 for TNG. You stole my numbers. Good to see Troy in command. Picard and the kids worked. Good Geordi Beverly chemistry, and Riker carrying around Data's head equals funny. We didn't actually see him carrying the head. That would have been funny, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm less whatever about the kids. I think Kelly was mostly fine because, of course, they're gonna be scared, whatever. I think for kid actors, they did a good job because they all felt characterful. Maybe not necessarily the best way, but characterful is important. They weren't bland, you know. Yeah. So let's read some super chat scores, Stuart. Do you have any super chat scores? Yes.
I just read the only one. Just read the only one. Yes.
I'll jump in then. So everyone else thinks 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 8.7, 8, 9, 8, 8.5, 7, 7.5, 8.5, 8, 9 from Keith, 7, 8, 9, 9.75, 8, 7, 8.7 again, 8. So yeah, we're a little bit lower, but I mean about on par. It's just like I said, missing that secret sauce, missing that like something really cool. I don't know what it'd be. Yeah. It is a good episode though. I do really enjoy it. This is one I will watch if it's on TV. That's one of my scoring criteria. Is this one that I'll actually watch if it's on TV, or would I change the channel? So, and the only problem with this one too is O'Brien is a lieutenant. Lieutenant's pips. And it's just one of the ongoing evolution of O'Brien's rank, which they never really solidify on until DS9. Him and ranks are like.
We don't talk about rank. Yeah.
We've got no time to talk about time or his ranks. So yeah, final super chat slot, guys. Let us know what you think. But like I said, I thought I was going to like it. But that's the problem with going in with high expectations. That is the problem. You know?
Well, Paul Graham throws in $15. Thank you so much, Paul.
Boom!
8.237 for season 3, I assume, and 7.259 for Jesus Christ for Holo TNG. I was really happy to see Troy learn to step up during and after this. This was great seeing this show up later. We need and they still need a web development person for their Kepler shipyard. So if you guys are web developers, click that link, go check it out. Maybe you can help them out. But yeah, this is mentioned later where Troy says she feels like she wants to take the command training program because of this. And I love that. I love how it ties together. So yeah, this is a good one for.
No, absolutely. And certainly they definitely treat those three on the bridge. That's where they're. I think you can tell the focus was it's a Picard story and a side character bridge story. Those are the two focuses are. Everyone else gets secondary and tertiary, but that's good for Marina. You know, I wish she had more to say. I think she did a lot of great facial acting, which is half of acting. I just wish she was given more dialogue to kind of. She doesn't need to be more assertive. She doesn't need to be more whatever. She did have a great job physically, but given she's given so many lines normally, I wish she was given more lines just to kind of have that bit of extra. But she's literally the least qualified person on that bridge at this thing. So it makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce. One more like, guys, and $3 more. Those are we'll summarize on that. And you know, maybe. Oh no. Without one more like, the ship. Oh, that's way less impressive with all the lights on.
Yeah, it is.
Got the power up. There's no more power. Let it goes that bright on that. Like it go. I can't. Okay, drama. Damn, that's bright. Stuart, it's an emergency.
Looks good though.
Can you tell? Can you tell?
We've hit 120 likes. The disaster can be averted now.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yay.
Oh, what side of my eye is like burning from bright?
Matt Boardman, $5.
Oh.
Oh, Brian.
Oh, sorry, Matt. We'll wait for him to come back. Hello, Stuart.
Did you even hear me?
Not remotely.
O'Brien's Pips Snipe. T. Louise Allen, $5.
Ooh.
Snipe. Oof.
And his pip sniper hard because you don't know what level of damage you're gonna get from those.
Could get commander level.
Could be.
Could get captain level. Could get whatever the hell O'Brien's is. And since it's O'Brien's pip snipe, we have no idea. It's just a random damage generator.
Yes.
Squadra Course snipes with $1. So Squadra Course now is the last super chat slot.
Good stuff, Stuart.
Yes.
And are you doing any lives tomorrow or the weekend? Anything to look forward to?
Tomorrow night, doing my Friday night live. Don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, if it's trivia or whatever, but we'll be doing something. So you can join me at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and come and hang out. On the weekend, I don't know. Nothing's really going on, I don't think. But next week we might have a full week of lives.
This is close to.
More. Yeah, we'll try. Oh shoot! I don't think I can do Monday now that I've said that.
Yeah, I don't think I can do Monday.
Oh, I might
either.
be able to.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But at least some epic ones in the middle. And who knows, we might do the follow-up to our uniform live and do the side uniforms, because that went brilliant.
Yeah. Fleet Pass Swiftback, $2. Dr. Worf Snipe.
Yes.
Yes. $8 more would be a great number.
Yeah, we are right there.
Should we stick around for $8 more? Anybody? Anyone?
I mean, yeah, no, maybe. Can you repeat the question? You're not the boss of me now, and you're not the boss of me now, and you're not the boss of me now, and you're not so big, you know. Oh, he didn't even get the joke. Oh,
I'm back. I heard that. You're not the boss of me now. What?
I was referencing Malcolm in the Middle, as I'm sure people know.
I never watched it, so.
Good.
Fleet Pass Swiftback, $2.
Thank you.
Or no, sorry. Never mind. Don't listen to me. T. Louise Allen, $3. Pew pew pew. Snipe.
We got our likes at least.
$4.10.
No.
So it's like $5. Just $5. $5 super chat.
It is teasing, isn't it?
Yeah. There it is. Matt Boardman with $8.
Oh.
My man. A fistful of eights.
Like a fistful of quarks.
And Squadra Course, $1 with the final. Looks like Squadra Course has it. Oh, and then Sean Corpier with $8. O'Brien is the greatest snipe. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, do you sense in this episode that he is the best Starfleet officer ever from his performance this week?
No, he is good though. He knows the protocols. He knows, that proper procedures, how to do things. Makes a point of that. So, and
he certainly knows more than Transporter Chief needs to know about warp core, about spatial anomalies. Like, he definitely knows more.
Yep.
But I don't know if he's necessarily trained in. Is that a specialist role? I don't know. Maybe he was just an engineer guy, then got transferred onto. I don't know. I could buy either way.
Okay. CJ the dad puts in $5, and then he goes on to say, "It didn't punch in my message in the message. Just type it in the regular chat. Love you guys. Keep up the good work," he says. So
thank you
so much, CJ the dad. And Caboodlefish then gets the last super chat slot with £1, and then Sean.
Everyone's fighting it. This is the
and Sean snipes in with $5 and says, "Mine."
But yeah, thanks guys, and certainly look forward to CJ, all of our content when the new shows come out, because boy, lots of videos.
So make sure you're subscribed and notification bell icon is clicked to all, guys.
And we're likely to have lives
if you enjoy watching us.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m. Eastern. If you think you might be interested in joining a live, just check out that time. We'll probably be there. It's kind of half the fun. But Stuart, I will see you next week. You'll see us on Saturday. So until then, he's Captain Foley.
He's Commander Cockings. I was going to make some kind of disaster joke, but I can't think of one.
Disaster avoided.
Until we hit the end stream, then you're all on your own. Oh, Paul Graham.